Now, as we've been doing all throughout Advent, we've been having some of our musicians share what makes some of these songs special to them. So tonight we're going to hear from Lucas tell us about Angels We Have Heard on High. All right, go ahead.
A lot about music. Okay, so as Pastor said, I want to tell you a little bit about why Angels We Have Heard on High is such a special hymn to me. And I want to first start with the history of it. So it's sung to the hymn tune Gloria, which is a French traditional carol. And the English text that we're familiar with was written by James Chadwick in 1862, and it's a little bit of original text, but it's mostly inspired by another French traditional carol that translates literally to the angels in our countryside. So now I'm going to geek out a little bit in the music, so stay with me. I'm gonna show you some examples of why this hymn has some awesome musical things in it. So the first thing is it makes really great use of counterpoint. And counterpoint in music is, it's essentially a musical line that moves differently than the melody line, okay? So sometimes that can be something simple as both lines are moving rhythmically in tandem, but going up and down. So a soprano line goes up, alto line goes down, and it creates kind of this opposite movement. It's a simple thing, but a really important compositional tool in music because if everything's moving in the same direction, it can get a bit boring. A slightly more complex version of counterpoint is when other lines move when the melody is stopped. So for instance, you have a soprano line doing its thing and then it backs out and then an alto line comes in and then a tenor line comes in and you have all this flowing movement, which we have in this hymn with our refrain. The glow, that's the soprano line that's moving a little bit and staying and then moving and staying, and while it's staying, you have these other lines underneath creating this kind of fluid, interesting texture that's really pleasant to the ear. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But the next thing I love about it is the text painting in Angels We Have Heard on High. And text painting, by text painting, I'm talking about making the music you hear reflect the words that you're singing. Okay, so the best and my favorite example in the song is the first verse. So we have angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. And after we do that, we go into the refrain, where again we have all this awesome counterpoint going on, but what makes it really good is that counterpoint, that music is a specific reflection of the text that we just sang. Okay, so we have angels singing, and we have mountains in reply. So we've got glow, we've got that soprano line, that's our angel chorus, and then we have this alto line, which is our mountains in reply. So glow. So you can kind of see that. Can you guys hear that? It's if you look at a hymnal too, you can visually see it, how the lines are moving at different times, and it's a real-time demonstration of angels singing and the mountains reflecting their praises. All right, so I think that's cool. So now I'm going to move on from my music nerd part and get into the biblical studies part of it. So I talked about, the English text was written by James Chadwick, and it's based on Christ's birth, but based in the Gospel of Luke. Biggest clue being that Gloria in excelsis Deo is the first line that the angels sing in Luke chapter 2. Beyond that, we have angels singing, shepherds singing, and we have setting in Bethlehem, and we have finally a reveal about what all this singing is about, which is Christ's birth. Okay, so it's important that Luke is the gospel that is being drawn from here because it has the most robust birth story. In Matthew, we talk a little bit about wise men. Mark goes straight into his adult ministry, John kind of the same. But Luke has all these important details about his birth, and in doing so, creates the grandeur of it. It really introduces us into what a majestic moment that was. There's so much singing in Luke. There's so much praise being given, and I don't just love that just because I'm a choir director. I love that because all throughout the Bible, singing means praise being given means something great has happened or something great is about to happen. And more importantly, it's a pure way to glorify God. So while all that musical, compositional stuff is really cool and definitely scratches that itch for me, the real value that I find in this hymn is it captures the wonderment of Jesus' birth. Contemporary secular Christmas, I think, also captures some wonderment, but it's more pointed, obviously, towards Christmas trees and lighting and gift giving and Santa Claus and that stuff, which is all well and good and cheerful and fun, but it does get a little bit distracting if we don't remember what the true source of that wonderment is, which is the miracle birth of Jesus. And this hymn does really well to bring us back to that. It reminds us of what a spectacular event it was. It reminds us what an absurdly beautiful thing it was. This humble, holy, lowly infant Son of God, born in a manger, yet ushered in by a thunderous chorus of angels that their sound is literally reflecting and shaking the mountains. They're singing praises of this child who is tasked with saving our broken world. And I want to remember that every Christmas, and I think that we all should. And so that's why I want to sing this hymn.